I'm gonna let you go first. I'm gonna
Put me on
yeah, I'm
blast.
gonna put you on the spot here. What is your top five? What is your number one? We don't have images for any of yours, so
That's cool because I actually have a visual representation of one of my top five. Boom, baby.
In song
Assassin's
and
Creed,
dance.
Assassin's Creed 3,
Assassin's
man.
Creed 3. Look, you got the
Oh wow.
collector's edition and everything. Wow.
Got the flag and the belt buckle and everything. I got it for my birthday. Like I've been a fan of like the Assassin's Creed series ever since it came out. So like when the third one was announced and they were saying, "Hey, we're gonna do this in the American Revolution," I'm like, "Okay, yes, America, let's do this." I was all for going around, going through Boston, going through New York. I had a lot of fun with this
Nice.
game. Like I have way too much fun. I've spent more time in frontier mode than the law should allow, but it was pretty fun. I really enjoyed it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad, when I was putting together my list, I was like, oh god, I really want to get an Assassin's Creed game on there. But I didn't have time. But yeah, no, I played the crap out of 3. I played way more than any other Assassin's Creed game myself. Um,
Mm,
yeah. I mean, the one thing I hated about it though, well, there's two things I really didn't like about it, and one is the shading. The shading is horrendous in the game. Um, and two, the fact that you have to go through extremely monotonous dungeons to unlock the fast travel system felt counterproductive.
yeah, the whole thing where you had to go through like the tunnel system of like of the old Boston and like New York and stuff was kind of ridiculous because you had to go through this network and like if you got
You
lost
were
or
screwed.
something, you had to like you had to go back or whatever. Like you had to backtrack.
Yeah.
But other than that, like that was fine. That was just But what I also liked was how you actually could your take on like a whole battalion of people in that fort when you're taking over the forts and
Yeah.
stuff. I remember like throwing the freaking torch in like the dynamite shed and like taking down the commander. I remember one time I took down like 25 of those dudes and then raised the flag, and I ended up getting the achievement Blitzkrieg or something like that,
What?
where I just yeah, like it was ridiculous.
It was a good franchise. You know, I'm just gonna put in my Assassin's Creed 3 cents in there. It wasn't a game that like I was, but I'm not that fond of the series. It's okay, it's cool, but it never quite spoke to me. I know a lot of people love this franchise and it's fantastic, and I have a pirate hat. And I think the next one's gonna be as good. The Ubisoft team puts a lot of time into it. It's just never been a game that I could ever see cracking like my top five of anything. Even though they were really cool games and a lot of people like them, and the next one has pirates and stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I think overall it has been a great franchise, and it's definitely, I think it turned a lot of stuff around for Ubisoft as a company, like just not just Assassin's Creed 3, but I think the Assassin's Creed series as a whole. I think when it came out, people really started to pay attention to like what Ubisoft was doing, and now this last year and this current year, they've brought us like a slew of like ridiculously awesome games, including
Yeah, I can see someone really putting a lot of Ubisoft games on a top five. Like, I mean, a top five Ubisoft games of this current console generation would be almost a lot of Game of the Year contenders. Far Cry, Assassin's Creed 1 through 3. There's a lot of games that could be put in there. Even the ones that Zombie U. The games that like people didn't really consider, but I feel is perhaps one of the best games on the Wii
yeah,
U, and a fantastic survival horror
totally.
game.
Cool. Well, there you go. There's number 5 for Mr. Kevin. All right. Bobby, you want to go next, buddy?
Would my
Yeah.
number five? Well, my number five is a little ditty called "Shadows of the Damned." Yeah, well, Shadows of the Damned. I don't know if a lot of people played it because it didn't do too well in sales, but it personally is one of my favorite Suda 51 games, and I actually felt that Lollipop Chainsaw had a way more marketing, was pushed way more. But this, out of this generation, this is the best Suda 51 game in there. Grasshopper came out, they did a good job. The music was incredible. The storyline, was fantastic as well, and it's a good homage to goth and horror.
Yeah.
Like if you're a Misfits fan, if you're an AFI fan, I swear this guy looked. The main character was a cross between Antonio Banderas and Davey Havok. That's how I would describe him. And you have the elements of with a dash of Ash.
Yeah, a little Evil Dead. Yeah.
He was a good character. I mean, the game had everything that you would want in like a horror game. It had damsel in distress, had fantastic environments.
Yeah.
The gameplay changed very often. There was like it wasn't the same type of game. Sometimes you were running away from your undead girlfriend. Sometimes it was a 2D platformer.
Yeah.
A game that I feel, and this is why I made my top 5, because I felt it was an underrated game out of this console generation. That it came and went. I mean, I swear, it came out, and then a couple weeks later, it was pretty much a bargain game because it didn't do well. And EA took a risk on this, trying to push it out. It was an EA published it. It's a Grasshopper game. I feel it was the first Pseudo 51 game to try to make a big
a little
thing,
more mainstream.
But yeah, it just didn't do well. I mean, the music was by it was developed
Akira Yamaoka.
Yeah, so the Resident Evil guy, right? Yeah, so I mean, there was like a lot of big names in this. The director of it wasn't directed by Pseudo 51, but the guy who directed the game, he went on to leave Grasshopper after that, and I felt that was kind of sad. Massimo Girani, I believe. Like, it was a really good game. I feel, and the reason I put it as top 5, I feel it's a game that not many people have played. And it's a good experience. It's like watching a movie.
Yeah.
There's a good beginning, middle, and end. It's not an open game. It's not Skyrim. It's not Grand Theft Auto. It's a very simple game. It goes from point A to point B, but between point A and point B, it gives you a lot of terrific content in there. And I feel, in comparison to Lollipop Chainsaw, which was the more marketed Pseudo 51 game to come out within a relative time period, I feel like within a year apart, I just feel this game was underrated and fantastic. And as a horror movie fan, it was a great thrill ride. There was moments of like, oh my god, these boss battles are intense. These boss battles are just crazy, and they're very theatrical.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about it. It wasn't a boring game at all. It actually, you know what I would say? It reminded me in certain elements to the great Vampire Hunter D PlayStation 1 game. And that's why I like it. That's actually one of my favorite PlayStation 1 games of all time.
Really?
That's why I have a special place in my heart for Shadows of the Damned.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you play this game, Kevin?
No, I didn't. Like, I never even heard of it until now. Like,
well,
what is
what?
Like, what is it for? Like, it's for like all the current gen consoles. Like,
PS3 and Xbox 360.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
You know, I actually played through this. I reviewed this game, and I agree with you on a lot of those points, Bobby. It definitely felt like Evil Dead to me. Like especially with the whole like your girlfriend is possessed by a demon and you're trying to save her aspect of it. The dick jokes do get old. The dick jokes.
They do, but it's very Ash in that. That's what I feel like. It's like some crude humor mixed in there, and it's like an 80s movie if it was done in Japan while they're all on hallucinogenic.
Yeah.
That's the way I would describe it.
If Ash was played by Antonio Banderas, like that's kind of who the main character is. Yeah.
And it works very well. I mean, it's the bosses are cool. Like, I mean, the opera singer boss, like, that was a fantastic level because it felt very Fifth Element when you walk through and there's like this opera singer. I'm like, these are some epic cutscenes.
I love the lore that they put behind each boss as well. Like, if you're searching searching through the levels, you find these storybooks, and each storybook has this like horrid tale about how the boss became this like tortured demon. And they're really interesting to read. Like, there is just so much style to the game that you love it, especially if you're a fan of those like B-movie type of joints. You know, it's super cool. And then like spoiler alert, at one point it just becomes a side-scrolling shooter game. Like, all of a sudden you're playing R-Type, and
but it's like R-Type, the Addams Family.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's cool about it. It's like R-Type if R-Type was an Addams Family game, and it does it so seamless. But you're like, what the hell? This is that it's cool. It doesn't feel jarring. And all the levels, like, there's parts. I mean, as I said, the part when you're running away from your girlfriend, I'm like, that's like a kind of a distance runner kind of game, and it just implements so well in the game. Is that a Dr. Phil mug, by the way?
Yes, this is my Dr. Phil mug.
That's pretty classy. But, there's a lot of elements in that game. I mean, the boss battles are all unique. The one that you're in, like, the carnival section, and you have that guy chasing after you, and you have to get to the lights.
Yeah.
That's really damn intense.
But,
I mean, it's like, I wouldn't say it's a survival horror in the classic sense, but it's survival horror enough because it's more like a third-person shooter.
Action survival horror.
But still, an action survival horror, but I feel like... And I feel the story is actually compelling because it's relatable. Like, your girlfriend is taken to hell by demons who want to do really bad things to her, and that's why you have to go to hell. It's like, that's compelling enough. Why are you in hell? Because they stole your girlfriend. It's very Splatterhouse. It's classic in its video game nonsense.
Yeah, definitely. And in a lot of ways, it's a precursor to Lollipop Chainsaw. But you can tell, like, he definitely... I think Suda learned a lot from doing Shadows of the Damned and kind of honed in and focused on, like, a more particular style of gameplay for Lollipop Chainsaw. Although Lollipop Chainsaw is full of those kind of, like, mini games and side events, and it's probably about just as long. I think the next thing Suda has to do is make his games longer and more intriguing. I'm really looking forward to Killer is Dead.
So am I.
Yeah.
So am I. I mean, I'm a big fan of Suda
I'll play
51.
anything with his name on it, period. Like that guy doesn't make crappy games. Like Sign Mora was fantastic. He just produced that, I think. And then did you play Black Knight Sword?
No, I heard about that, but I haven't played that yet.
You will love it, especially if you like the marionette or puppet style levels in Shadows of the Damned. You're gonna get a kick out of Black Knight Sword. All right. So moving on, I guess that means we're to my number 5 game.
Your number 5.
So my number 5.
My
number 5 is Rock Band. Oh yeah. All right.
A little
indie game called Rock Band. Now, here's the reason I went with Rock Band. Like, when I was making this list, I was trying to think of the games that I played the most, that I really enjoyed, and that have really stood the test of time for me in particular. And I think that Rock Band is one of those games. Like, you have a party, and everybody comes over, and you're having drinks, and Rock Band gets busted out sometimes, because it's something that, even if you don't play video games, you can still grab a microphone and sing, or, like, the drums look fun, so maybe you'll try playing that. I really feel like, whether you're talking about 1, 2, or 3, which they're all essentially the same game, they don't really change too much. Like, it's something that is easily accessible to people that don't even play video games, and it made video games a mainstream success as well. Like, I think games became rapidly more popular when Rock Band and the Wii hit, and I really think if it wasn't for the kitsch and novelty of both Rock Band and to an even larger extent, actually, the Wii, that games would not be where they are right now. So I gotta give props. Like, I think Rock Band gets a lot of crap nowadays. Like, everybody's kind of jaded and cynical to the whole thing. But I really, really think that they did something cool, and it's still fun. It's like they took karaoke to the next level.
Yeah, no, because, like, especially with charities like Child's Play, where we have the Out event like here every every year, and we raise up to $10,000 like for kids for charity and stuff. Not to mention, this game has brought more families into gaming with this game, and it's really, really awesome and accessible to everybody. Like, it's not like a hardcore.
It's not like when you go and you play Call of Duty and some 14-year-old kid shoots you nonstop for 15 minutes and you just get pissed off and cuss, and then you go kick your dog and beat your wife or something like that.
You know what's one thing about this game? You have to look at it. This and the Guitar Hero itself actually found a way to sell physical copies of music.
Yeah.
So, a lot of these games did really well for the artists that they had the music licensed from. They actually made more money off of the game, their music being licensed than actual
album sales.
the music industry.
Yeah,
yeah, it's like, I mean, that was fantastic. I mean, it's like this actually was able to find a way to do what the music industry couldn't do and actually sell physical copies of music. Granted, it's in an interactive environment, but this did well in a world where people were just downloading music and was, just pretty much killing the music industry, both the Rock Band and Guitar Hero franchise, the whole music genre of gaming. It helped dramatically to actually help musicians in the world. I think that's a little factor that people just forget about, that it helped actual artists, get money.
And
it
introduced people to like bands. It's like, if your dad's like, oh, you should listen to like Boston, or you should listen to Foghat or some crap like that, you're like, yeah, whatever, screw you, Dad. But then like you're playing Rock Band and you're like, this song's like killing it. It's awesome. It's like it's not uncool all of a sudden to like these like southern rock bands from the 70s, or even Devo. Devo's on there, and I love Devo.
Turbo Negro's on there, dude, and that's one of the things that's amazing to me. Rock Band DLC, there was Turbo Negro DLC. That's why I thought of
Montreal. I think M83 eventually made it on there.
Dude, and like there was like the one Japanese band on Dirongre, like they were on there too, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. Cool little things like that. I think, it really, that is why Rock Band made my top 5 list, right there. You got to give them some props where props are due. All right, Kevan. That means